What if your obsession isn't a problem? What if it's actually your superpower? What do you research constantly? And what do other people around you wish that you would shut the up about? An intense curiosity, something that you deeply research on your own time. This is your special interest. Many ADHD or autistic individuals experience hyperfocus or special interests. I'm here to tell you, let your freak flag fly, man. Be who you are because it's probably going to help you someday. Engaging with your special interests actually does something for you physically. It reduces anxiety, improves your mood, provides more emotional regulation, and most importantly, creates flow states. Time totally disappears, your focus deepens, and the productivity skyrockets to the moon. It's not a flaw, it's a cognitive style. Here's the catch: you can get stuck in hyperfocus for too long. You can neglect your needs. You can let that thing take over your life without channeling it towards a better purpose. There's a fork in the road here. And on one hand, you could have unstructured obsession. And the other road is intentional channeling. Your brain isn't really broken, it's actually specialized. You're a specialist, and start viewing yourself as one. Whenever someone brings up that one topic and you start sharing about what you know about it, everybody else goes, "Oh, God, here you go. You got them going again." If that's you, you need to listen to this. What if your obsession isn't a problem? What if it's actually your superpower? For me, it's awkward enough to do social settings with multiple people, so I am fucking dying for someone in a social setting to bring up something that I know a lot about so that I can actually communicate a little better. Anything besides small talk, whether it's your deep life story, the crazy thing that happened to you once, or something you're really interested in. I'm just much more engaged when it's something like that rather than small talk. But if you're neurodiverse, you know, and if you're autistic, you definitely know. A lot of us have special interests, these fixations and these topics that we are gratified by studying, even if it's not part of our career or whatever, which is something we'll circle back to later. It's something that really motivates people who are neurodiverse. For me, the first one, I'd say there's some general ones. One, understanding how things work and how they're put together is a huge thing. I love that. But specifically, I love martial arts. Is probably my first love. I'll never forget. I came home with a book after several failed attempts at finding a sport or a something recreational for me to do. My mom was like, I don't want to say she had given up, but she was just kind of feeling a little bit lost, I think, as to what was going to be my thing, so to speak. And then one day I came home with a book from the library about karate. And I'd had like minor exposure to karate because my dad did karate a little bit in high school and really liked it, but he also loved to watch like Bruce Lee movies, some Van Damme movies, just like those good old fashioned like 80s, 90s ass kicking movies, Steven Seagal, you know, just like some of the classics. And so he was just to watch those. But I became obsessed with the mentality behind martial arts. And so I started bringing home books on it. And it was after like the third book where mom said, "Okay, I think I think maybe we found something you like," and said, "All right, let's try karate." And boom, off to the races I was. It only took about maybe a month's worth of classes before my karate instructor realized, it took my mom aside and said, "Hey, listen, your kid is, you know, like competition level engaged in this, and I think you should consider it if Ashley's interested, you know." So I did. I started competing as a kid and all through high school, and I did Kempo and Shotokan in my first karate school, and then it was time for me to kind of try something new and kind of evolve my skills. So I switched over and started doing Taekwondo as well. And competed in that. And that obsession has followed me to this day. And it has informed My mentality around the way that I coach and the way that I view life and the way that I view self improvement. My point is that obsession has taken me many places, and it continues to inform the decisions I make in life and the way I coach people, the way I help them see the things that are going on around them and make better decisions and learn how to apply what's working and disregard what's not, to drop what's not. And my other obsession is UFOs and aliens and understanding the existential questions in life and consciousness. And the reason that I'm interested in all of those things, I mentioned them together, is that I've come to the realization that I think they're quite related. And that's something that doesn't really apply to my coaching today, here and now. But given what's gone on in the news and the video I just made about the UFO files not that long ago, all of this stuff is going to start becoming more and more prevalent, more and more discussed. The idea that we're not alone in the universe, it's the next big thing for humanity. And so all those years of tinkering around in the internet and learning things about it and exploring consciousness on my own and with friends and really trying to understand the fabric of our reality, what makes us who we are, why we're here, and B, what is going to affect us in the future. What revelations about the possibility of life elsewhere and emerging technologies, how will those things affect us and our lives in the future? The technological advances we're making, and as well as those big questions of what's out there and why are we here and what are we. All of those things are coming to fruition now. This message is for those of you who are wondering, why the hell do I waste so much time on this specialty that I have decided that is my thing? One, it rewards your nervous system and it helps keep your nervous system engaged and motivated. So it's important. That's important for you. And B, you just never know what is going to happen in your life, in society, where all of a sudden you might end up being like one of those people that's like, wait. I know about this and I actually have a solution for it. Don't dismiss your own inclinations, your own interests. Even if other people think they're kind of wacky, I've always been the wacky, weird kid, okay? I've been the headphones kid who can't talk about much other than like karate and UFOs and consciousness and the planets and space and random facts about animals or psychology or just other obscure like facts about the world and the universe. I'm here to tell you, let your freak flag fly, man. Be who you are, because it's probably going to help you someday, even if it's going to help you function and have reward systems in your brain, and B, like I said, it might just come to fruition someday that it actually does mean something and it does impact your life and you're able to maybe help a lot of other people, which is the important part. So this whole concept I'm talking about is generally referred to as hyperfocus. Many ADHD or autistic individuals experience hyperfocus or special interests. It's kind of hallmarked by an intense curiosity, something that you deeply research on your own time, which I've learned is not something that neurotypicals really do. And it's something that maybe you never are able to focus for long on other things, but when it comes to this certain thing or this little group of things, you can focus for a really long time. Maybe even to a fault, to the point where you kind of like forget that there was other shit you were supposed to do today, or you have to like eat and drink and whatever. When you're on a tear, sometimes you forget about your needs, and don't do that. We're going to work on that. While your hyperfixation or your special interest might be your happy place, society has other ideas about it. It's often labeled as an obsession, a fixation, a distraction, or a rabbit hole. But neurologically, these things represent deep learning systems, pattern recognition engines, and your intrinsic motivation mechanisms. While it looks like an obsession on the outside, on the inside, you're feeling fully alive. You're living your best life in these moments, right? Research shows that ADHD brains in particular engage deeply when something is intrinsically motivating, and that can create hyperfocus states where your attention becomes very stable. So it might be better to view ADHD not as an inability to focus, but an inability to regulate your focus. Many autistic individuals tend to show heightened abilities in pattern recognition, especially, to the point where people will say, you must be psychic a lot. Systems thinking, like understanding systems of government, of companies, of societal hierarchies, and other systems like that. Detail processing to very high degree. And categorization, understanding this goes with that, in a way that neurotypicals don't really have the ability to do sometimes. And this is why autistic thinkers tend to do really well in like engineering and coding and anything having to do with research. We're very investigative people. Data analysis, science. Many neurodivergent individuals are often drawn to how systems work, how machines are built or how they work, how ideas connect, and how patterns repeat. Engaging with your special interests actually does something for you physically. It reduces anxiety, improves your mood, increases confidence, provides more emotional regulation, and most importantly, creates flow states. Hey there, what's up? My name's Ashley. I'm a neurodiverse life coach, and I help people who are ADHD and on the spectrum find their purpose, find their flow, and live a life that is more conducive to who they are and how they function. I also help everybody else who's going through big life changes, searching for their purpose, going through that spiritual awakening, trying to figure out what's next. So if any of that sounds like you, like this video, subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every week with great content to help you improve. What is flow state, you might ask? If you've ever watched a video of a boxer in a fight where it seems like they're just not even thinking about it, but they're able to dodge every punch and find the holes they need to strike their opponent, even when their opponent is extremely skilled, that's flow state. When you're playing a game, and it's almost like you're spacing out and your eyes aren't really even focused on what you're doing, but like, I don't know, I know somebody that plays ping pong really well, and you know, she talks about how, yeah, I just go into this state. I'm like, oh, you're talking about flow state. You know, she's like, I'm like not even paying attention to the ball anymore, but it's coming to me and I manage to hit it like every time. And I was like, yes, this is flow state. Time totally disappears. Your focus deepens. And the productivity skyrockets to the moon. And what does that look like? It looks like researching for hours. It looks like building collections of knowledge, studying something obsessively, wanting to explain it to everyone. Because once you have the knowledge, you feel like your bucket is overflowing and you've got to share it with somebody, especially if it's riveting to you, even if everybody else is bored to tears by it. You fall into a little bit of a rabbit hole on a topic and you like just deep dive on it for a week, a month, whatever, however long, days. And you're able to connect ideas across different fields and different modalities, maybe, whatever you're working with. I think you have the ability to see the interconnectedness between what you're working on and something else and cross-reference them. You know, maybe you get a little curious at 9 p.m. and you type something into Wikipedia, and then all of a sudden you look up again and it's like midnight or 2 a.m. and you're like 10 windows deep and you've read all this stuff and now you've got like this whole other, you know, chapter of knowledge that you didn't know you were going to pick up today. It's not a flaw. It's a cognitive style. Because the world out there and everything external is so overwhelming to particularly autistic people, but people who are neurodiverse and experience overwhelm easily. The world out there can be too much. And so what do? We kind of retreat within sometimes and reflect internally. Spend a lot of time deeply thinking, exploring big questions, and noticing subtle patterns in what we're learning about, the world around us. That inquisitiveness can often leave people who are neurodiverse down more of a spiritual path where they aren't uncomfortable about the big questions. Whatever they find, whatever they believe to be true, they accept, even if it makes most people uncomfortable, if it's like an existential fact or something. And this is why many can become interested in philosophy or spirituality or consciousness and energy systems and metaphysics. All the things that I somehow rabbit hole my way into. And not because I got obsessed and I love conspiracy theories or anything like that. It's because I deeply researched and I understood the interconnectedness between certain concepts and that these are things that people from thousands of years ago actually might have had a better grasp on because they weren't so distracted. They had a lot more free time on their hands to think about big concepts that we don't really have the luxury to do today. When your brain power is used a lot for looking inward instead of chasing external stimulation, some interesting things tend to come up. You start noticing things that other people might overlook. Gives you that kind of strong intuition, that insight, maybe some unconventional perspectives, or especially creative problem solving, creative thinking and problem solving. Special interests and hyperfixations are a gift. They're a gift to you, and they can be a gift that you use to help others. But there's an important distinction we have to make. Your special interest should empower you, not isolate you. And what do I mean by that? Here's the catch. Like I said, you can deep dive and get stuck in hyperfocus for too long. You can neglect your needs. You can let that thing take over your life without channeling it towards a better purpose. There's a fork in the road here. And on one hand, you could have unstructured obsession, which looks like burnout, ignoring other responsibilities entirely, and social withdrawal. You don't find the balance between doing and thinking about what you love and taking care of your actual human needs. And the other road is intentional channeling, right? You use that expertise, you innovate, you use it to inspire your creativity. And here's the big one, you focus it towards career opportunities. The goal isn't to suppress your passion, it's to aim it in a direction that is meaningful. And it's ultimately up to you what you choose to do with that hyperfocus, that special interest. I went to the California Science Center. I don't know if they're still running it, but they had an IMAX movie about the James Webb Telescope and what it took to actually get that thing out into space. I can't remember how many failure points they said. It's like thousands of failure points, meaning a failure point is if this one mechanism doesn't work, if this one spring fails, if this one little arm doesn't fold out, the whole satellite is a piece of shit and it's not going to do its job. So, and we've spent billions of dollars to hurl it up into space and it's just going to be a piece of space junk floating there. So all of these people that worked on this, they did interviews with the people who analyzed the data coming in from it and who steered it. I kind of started crying when I was watching the interviews with these people because every goddamn single one of them, it was pretty clear that like probably half of them were pretty neurospicy, but they all said the same thing, and they were like, what did you want to do when you grew up? And they're like, well, I stared at the sky and I said, I want to either go to space or work on satellites, or I just want to have something to do with space. And they're like, and what is your job now? And they're like, I fly satellites in space. Like, I was so moved because it's like, this is what it looks like when someone harnesses that special interest they have, and to a degree that most people could just never explore a topic, they do it and they end up following the path that takes them to the manifest reality of living in your special interest and always being engaged. So particularly for my neurodiverse buddies out there, I want you to be thinking about, where do you want to be in 20, 30, 40 years? I think this is an important distinction, an important question that everyone has to ask themselves. But I think it is especially important for people who are neurodivergent to ask, do I want my passion, my special interest, my hyperfixation, whatever I'm obsessed with, do I want that thing to be a part of my career? Like, do I actually want to work in a field that is either fully related or quasi-related in some way to that thing? Or do I want to find a career that I don't hate? Nobody wants to wake up miserable. That I don't hate, that provides me either the financial freedom, the freedom of schedule, or whatever, just the lifestyle you need, whatever you need to make time for that special interest, that passion. And again, this question is for everybody, but especially for the neurodiverse crowd, because What we go through to just get through a workday under like normal circumstances is exhausting. And truly, it's not sustainable for so many of us. Not without either quite a bit of accommodation or just, the price you pay in burnout, in depression, in just not feeling fulfilled in what you do. We have interest-based nervous systems. We are intrinsically rewarded by engaging with something that we enjoy because it's something that we can actually focus on. We don't have the luxury of other people do, where it's pretty easy for them to just say, okay, I gotta do the stuff that I don't really want to do, but it's okay because I'm getting paid, whatever. It's so much of a struggle for us to even get to the table to sit down to do the one task that we don't like. So I want you to really think about this. Even if, I don't care if you're 40 or 50, really. I want you to really think about, is this what I want to be doing for however long? I don't know how long we have in Social Security. A lot of people, even if you're, reaching retirement age, now would be the time to reconsider what I would like to moonlight doing or kind of slowly retire into. Um, I don't care if it's starting a podcast about your special interest, whatever. Be happy, please. So how do you identify your interest? If you don't already know, I feel like it should jump at you pretty quickly. What topic makes you lose track of time? What do you research constantly? And what do other people around you wish that you would shut the fuck up about? This is your special interest, probably whatever that is. Now, the important thing is, again, going back to not letting it take over your life in all the bad ways. Instead of fighting your obsession, maybe schedule it. Maybe you have dedicated research hours, or hobby time, or learning blocks. Maybe start blocking your schedule so that you're focused on what you're supposed to be focused on when you're supposed to be focused on it, and set alarms to interrupt you to kind of like reset that neural pattern and shift to the next thing if it's time to do that. This will keep you from getting guilt about how much time you spent on that thing that you probably weren't supposed to be doing when you had this other thing to do. And it keeps you from burning out, because when you're in the moment, living your best life, researching, doing whatever, falling into that rabbit hole, and then like the whole next day you're exhausted and you can't function because you overdid it, and maybe you get to the end of that week and you're totally burnt out. That's something you want to avoid. It should never be the thing that you overdo. It's your passion. It's what you love. Don't ruin it for yourself. Also, be thinking, how can I connect this to a purpose? How could this interest help someone else? Could I teach people this? Could I make content about it just for people to learn? Could I write? Could I make money consulting from it? Could I build a community around it, whether physical or online? How can I help humans innovate? So many successful careers, side projects start as special interests. Let's do a little exercise. If you don't already know what your special interest is, or if you're trying to really hone in on what you're supposed to be doing with it, write this down. 1, what is your obsession? 2, what skills does it give you? People skills, understanding certain mechanisms, having information that might benefit others. And then 3rd, how might it help others? How could you take this and find a way to help others with it? I had a client who was extremely gifted in computers and back-end and coding and all of that, but literally hates the digital marketing field and how unethical so many marketing agencies are. But also doesn't really thrive in 9-to-5 workplaces working for someone else. That person became a digital marketer, but with his own company, with his own core values installed into it. It's all based on how he wants to function and how he wants to express his gift. I have another client who went through, oh God, a terrible, terrible child custody and domestic abuse situation. Came out on the other side and had to learn so much about herself, about abusive dynamics, about court systems, and all of the fucked up things that happen to people in family court, and became obsessed with learning, wait, how does this actually function? And how do women get themselves into these situations. And she now coaches women who were in her situation to help them out. That wasn't really her interest when she started out in life, but it became her interest because this thing happened to her. And, and that's how you do it. You know, whatever the impetus is, I have no idea what got me into UFOs, to be honest with you. Martial arts was pretty clear. I was looking for something, to do, and I found this, and then I was like, "Oh, this is the thing. This is the thing I've been looking for." You know, I don't really know what got me started on UFOs, to be honest, but like, it's just an example of that obsession that I've had for years. That was always just this thing that I read books about and researched quite vigorously over the last several years, and now it's becoming like an actual thing. Like people have careers in this industry, and not that they're like necessarily high paying careers, and it's not what I want to do with my life, but it's going to inform my coaching moving forward, and I know that, and I feel confident in that, and it makes me feel relaxed because I'm doing something that most other coaches haven't even thought about at this point, and which is a little scary, to be honest, if you're paying attention at all. But yeah, there's a lack of preparation for this event that we are currently experiencing, but I am ready to coach people through that and help them understand this in a way that doesn't seem existential or crazy or scary or anything like that. Information that just might seem like a given to you because you've been down this road for a while might be information that somebody else out there seriously needs. And the fact that you have the inclination to express it means that there's somebody else out there. It's an energy exchange. Because you have the urge, the desire to express it, don't hold yourself back from doing it. Don't do someone else out there the disservice who really needs to hear what you have to say. Don't let imposter syndrome be the thing that keeps you from like pursuing a special interest, especially because, like I said, there are people out there that don't have the understanding that you have, and they, gosh, could really do with the information, with the insight, with the unique perspective that you might have. What was once your distraction can actually become your direction, and one that really enriches your life and really benefits others, which gives you that fulfillment that most people are looking for in life, in their career. So, your obsession might just be your expertise, passion, your creative engine, or your purpose. Your brain isn't really broken, it's actually specialized. You're a specialist, and start viewing yourself as one. So consider this. What if the thing that you were always told was too much is actually the thing that the world needs more of? Till next time, peace out, Earthlings.